I'm sure many of you have enjoyed at times the amazing feats of world-class artists and athletes. Earlier this year, the Winter Olympics, right now, the World Cup of football or soccer, the World Series, the Super Bowl, etc. Sometimes you can see those athletes, particularly those who are competing in individual events, going through their routines, their acrobatics in their minds just before they take the ice or the snow or the stage, so to speak, take the field, because they have learned, as many psychologists know, that to visualize helps us to actually embody something. We know that at this time of Advent especially, the world around us are full of symbols. And at this time of Advent, I'm inviting you to join me in visualizing your hope or symbolizing your hope in ways that are meaningful for you, in ways that might help you to actually express or incarnate your hope in the world. From our banners today, we see symbols of angels and stars. I was going to share with you a little bit of a stole that my wife made for me early on in my ministry that has a star and a trumpet playing, a sense of hope of what the promise of Advent means for us. And in the reading from Isaiah today, it's full of symbols of hope that might capture our imagination and attention. And in the announcement for worship that went out yesterday, and for those of you who are here in the congregation today, there was an insert full of symbols of hope. Chrismons, which is a synthesis of the word Christ, and monogram, chrismons, with a number of common or popular chrismons symbolized there, and some common or popular meanings for them. What I'm inviting you to do, particularly today and throughout this coming week, is to reflect again on those symbols, which will also be a part of the December epistle that was emailed out yesterday, and for those of you who are not on email, it will also be sent to you in the post this coming week as well. But to see which of those symbols might capture your attention and might be an inspiration of hope for you in your own life and in us as a congregation. There is, in the spiritual Christian tradition, a practice called Lectio Divina, in which we read and reflect on God's sacred words, and then also Visio Divina, which is to actually envision or see those. And I'd like to invite us this week to kind of combine those two practices of sacred reading and sacred seeing as well. So as I read again slowly for you some passages of Isaiah 11 that Barb shared with us a short time ago, I'd invite you either just to simply have a soft gaze or even close your eyes, or if you prefer to be thinking about these chrismon symbols of God's love made flesh among us, to be considering those, and which one of these particular images from Isaiah or these suggested chrismons, or maybe some other one that comes up in your mind, symbolize your hope for this Advent season. So again, from Isaiah chapter 11, hear and allow these words to take root in you. A shoot shall come out from the stump of Jesse, Jesse the father of David, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, of counsel and might, of knowledge and fear of the Lord. And then a little bit later, these beautiful images of peace. The wolf shall live with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, the calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. Again, imagine what of these images speak most powerfully to you at this time in your life, in the life of our church, in the life of our world around us. The wolf shall live with the lamb. The leopard shall lie down with the kid. The calf and the lion and the fatling together, and a little child will lead them. The cow and the bear shall graze together. Their young shall lie down together. The lion shall eat straw like the ox. On that day, the root of Jesse will stand up as a banner, as a flag, as an emblem for the peoples. What would be the emblems of the root of Jesse, of David's reign, that you would want to see on a banner or a flag? On that day, the root of Jesse will stand as a banner for the peoples. The nations will rally to him, and his resting place will be glorious. God will raise a banner for the nations, gather the exiles of Israel, and will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four quarters of the earth. Again, what would it be like to visualize the symbols of our hope in such a way that that might actually help guide us into living those out in the world around us? We know that for those who do not necessarily have a practice of participating in the life of the church, they may see the church as perhaps an unwelcoming place or an irrelevant place, or if at all, they may see churches in our society today as being part of the problem rather than part of the solution. So how can we, as people of God's beloved community, how can we manifest God's love in the world around us in such a way that others will be drawn to this flag, this banner, this emblem of God's love and grace in the world? One of the ways I think we can manifest that, one of the ways that we can help make the Word become flesh and dwelling among us, is to actually make the effort to make new friends. I know there's a simple song that we learned early on in childhood: make new friends and keep the old, one is silver and the other is gold. I'm wondering, really honestly, when was the last time that any of us made a new friend? I think this time of year is an important time to think about ways that we can make new friends, whether it's where we live, where we work, where we shop, where we worship. What would it be like to intentionally make a new friend? Maybe while volunteering at the senior center or delivering Meals on Wheels. Perhaps when you're out and about waiting in line somewhere to drop something off or pick something up, what would it be like to make a new friend? Maybe if you live in a community, maybe perhaps making a new friend among those others who reside in your same community, or making a new friend among those who work and support you there. I know my mother was one who continued making new friends up until the last few days and weeks of her life. It's probably easy to think, well, at this stage and age of life, perhaps we're too old to make new friends. But I can tell you from my mother's perspective, who lived until she was 101, it's always worthwhile to make new friends. Like Grace, the Filipino woman who was her caregiver in her final hours of life. Or some of the young teenagers who were servers in the dining room at the retirement community where she lived. She would always take time to get to know them and to encourage them to pursue long-term goals in life. Like the woman who was a social work intern who came to visit her in the hospital and then in the healthcare center, that became a good friend who happened to be an African immigrant of Islamic faith. Or the woman who was a lifetime Catholic who became a prayer partner and a beloved friend to my mother in her later years. I think the list goes on and on. But I think making a new friend is one of the very best ways that we could perhaps incarnate our hope for God's love growing in our lives around us. What are the obstacles, what are the barriers, and what would it take for you to make that effort in the coming weeks or perhaps in the new year to make a new friend? I think you'll find that not only is it a gift to another, a gift of yourself, but it's also a gift to yourself, because in making new friends, our lives are enriched and enlarged, and it's worth the effort. So I do want to encourage you as you think this coming week about what symbols of God's love really capture your imagination and fill your hearts. Think about ways that you might want to represent those, and I would encourage you even to do a little bit of homework this week. I know I don't feel myself to be particularly artistically gifted, but I hope you will think about this coming week, maybe one or two of these symbols that if you were in charge of creating a new banner or a new flag to represent the life of Christ coming through St. Paul's Church here in this community, what would be the symbol or emblem that you would choose, and how might you decorate it, how might you color it or represent it? And then how would you actually seek to live that out in the community around you? So may God bless you as you seek ways to manifest God's love in this day and in all the days to come. Amen.